Presidential candidate Leody de Guzman alleges collusion between local authorities and some business entities after yesterday's shooting incident left 5 people wounded in Quezon town in Bukidnon. The issue of ancestral domain is seen as a possible reason behind the incident. What is the real score? More from Stanley Cahete.
The shooting incident in Quezon, Bukidnon brought fear and confusion for the local indigenous community fighting for ancestral rights. Presidential candidate Leody de Guzman says the incident must have involved authorities and some business entities with intent to grab some land from the tribe. He believes the gunshots meant to intimidate the Manobo tribe.
Despite na yung mga Manoboy nakasecure na ng certificate sa DNR, nakasecure na ng certificate sa National Commission of Indigenous People, at meron ng order o notice to vacate nung kumpanya yung lupa.
The Commission on Human Rights sees that issues on ancestral domains remain complex amid implementing laws and regulations. Nevertheless, indigenous people have ancestral rights.
IP rights are human rights, and ancestral lands are part of their identities, and it properly belongs to them, and CHR fully supports that.
The CHR says ancestral lands are protected and there must be consent before utilizing them for projects like mining or real estate development.
In the past, we've conducted inquiries on IP rights. We have a focal commissioner who looks into IP concerns. Sinasabi rito sa business and human rights, though voluntary, businesses also have the responsibility to respect and protect IP rights.
According to DENR Region 10, since there was no IPRA law before, the department issued forest land grazing management agreement to partnered companies to utilize the 900-hectare land of indigenous tribes back in 1968. Under this, their land could be used by the approved lessee for 50 years, meaning the leasing agreement of business owners in Quezon, Bukidnon already expired in 2018.
Upon expiration of that tenure instrument, ay dapat ay ibigay ito sa indigenous people bilang additional area ng kanilang claim. Yun po ang nakasabi sa dokumento. And yun po yung pinangahawakan ng IT na after mag-expire, dapat ma-claim na nila yung claim.
Technically, wala nang karapatan yung mga lessee doon ngayon.
Opo, kasi expire na.
The NCIP provides legal assistance to indigenous people defending their rights. It also conducts regular visits to them to resolve such matter.
Meron po programa ng NCIP providing legal assistance. Tulong-tulong po ang lahat ng ahensya. Hindi lang po NCIP ang dapat na nagpoprotekta at nag-i-endorso.
Stanley Cahete, CNN Philippines.
On the campaign trail, despite being declared persona non grata in Davao City, Vice Presidential candidate Walden Bello flew there to submit a counter-affidavit against the cyber libel case filed against him by a former information officer of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. Bello had alleged that Jeffrey Tupas was involved in the drug trade. Bello insists the case was politically motivated. Bello also visited the Sangguniang Bayan of Davao to ask for a copy of the resolution that declared him persona non grata. He sat at the desk, the chair of the city's vice mayor presidential son, Sebastian Duterte. Vice President Lenny Robredo in Negros Oriental and Siquijor, 2 provinces she carried in the 2016 VP race. She bared her plans for senior citizens.
Lahat na senior citizens makakatanggap ng pensyon at dodoblehin natin yung natatanggap ngayon dahil alam po natin kung gaano kayo nahihirapan. Yung natatanggap na pensyon ngayon, kulang pang pambili ng inyong gamot.
Want to know more on where national candidates stand on a number of issues? Catch the last round of the COMELEC Vice Presidential Debates Saturday, April 23rd, and the Presidential Debates Sunday, April 24th. The VP Town Hall debate will tackle issues of various sectors such as indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, overseas workers, and the LGBTQ community. While the Presidential Town Hall debate will discuss electoral reforms, education, and economic infrastructure, including the digital space. COMELEC kicks off the delivery of ballots across the country for the May 9 elections. Election watchdogs, the police and armed forces were among those who witnessed the sealing of delivery trucks Tuesday night. The poll body hopes to finish the deployment of ballots by May 5. As Filipinos prepare to cast their ballots, health officials want COMELEC to limit the time of voters inside polling stations to avoid crowding. Only 10 persons are allowed to enter a classroom at once. Isolation polling places will be set up for those showing COVID-19 symptoms. Health spokesperson Maria Rosario Vergeres says safety officers should also be deployed. She advises the public against loitering after casting their votes.
Minsan, di ba, it takes too long for a person to cast their votes, nakipagkwentuhan pa dun sa mga kakilala sa loob. So baka dapat limitado tayo, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't know. So that we can minimize yung pagkakasama-sama ng bawat tao sa isang pwesto. Pagdating din sa labas na agad, diretso. I think this is very important for us to prevent further yung crowding dun sa area because that would be one of the major challenges come election day.
The DOH appeals for strict compliance to health protocols to prevent a surge after May 9th. CNN Philippines is seeking COMELEC's reaction to the recommendations. No new COVID-19 infections for 5 cities here in Metro Manila on Tuesday. These cities include Malabon, Muntinlupa, Navotas, Pasig, and Valenzuela. Pasay City reported the highest number of additional cases at 24, followed by Taguig with 10 and Manila with 9. Meanwhile, Octa Research fellow Guido David tells CNN Philippines he's seeing a slight uptick in Mindanao areas like South Cotabato and Sultan Kudarat, but the numbers are not yet a cause for concern. Tourism Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat says the decision to allow more tourists to visit Boracay in Aklan will be left to experts amid mounting calls to increase the island's carrying capacity. Boracay can accommodate up to 19,215 tourists at any given time, but that limit was breached during the Holy Week break. Tourism Department has called out local officials over the incident, and Puyat says the mayor will be issued a warning.
It's not about lobbying, it's about studies. If indeed it can be increased, we will rely on the experts. And it's not about, but I believe, even pre-pandemic, we never breached the 90,000. So again, we will listen to the third-party experts. Even tourists don't want to go to a place that's overcrowded.
Carrying capacity was based on a study by the University of the Philippines that was commissioned by the environment regulator back when the island was shut down or shut off for rehabilitation on the president's orders. Coming up here on Newsnight, no action tonight from Ginebra and Meralco for the PBA finals after a fire broke out at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. And we give you a look at the new crown that will soon be worn by the next Miss Universe Philippines. Stay with us here on CNN Philippines.
Good day to all. Welcome to our continuing education program on election law. This is Attorney Al Agra, your election law for all professor. For today's mini lecture, we will answer the question, how much can a presidential, vice presidential, and senatorial candidate spend? Magkano nga ba ang pwede nilang gastusin? It depends on the elected position, party support, and membership. For all the candidates vying for these 3 nationally elected positions, there is a cap for every registered voter. For the May 9 elections, we have 63,500,000 registered voters. Para sa gusto maging Pangulo o pangalawang Pangulo, membro man siya ng isang partido politikal o tumatakbong independente, 10 pesos kada botante ang limit. Kaya't maaari silang gumastos hanggang 635 million pesos. For those running for senator who is a member of a registered political party, that candidate can only spend 3 pesos per voter. So the cap is 190,500,000 pesos. But for independent senatorial candidates, the ceiling is 5 pesos per voter. So they can spend up to 370,500,000 voters. Ano ba ang pwede nilang pagkagastusan? What are the allowable expenditures? Under the law, candidates can spend for travel, compensation for staff, communications, printed materials, political advertisements, rallies, and social media. These expenditures are covered by the 10, 5, 3 peso caps. However, for payment for lawyers, copying of lists of voters, and printing of sample ballots, these are not covered. Our candidates must follow the law. Let us hold them accountable. Stay tuned for more learning, unlearning, and relearning. Al-agra po. Maraming salamat at ingat tayo lahat.
Tumagal tayo sa dilim, namandayan ng nightlife. Now it's time to live the light life. Let's have Sunday light to the sun out. Hindi lang maggabi ang bonding natin. Any hour is now happy hour. As you drink up the light life, kumagaan ang feeling. Ang katapusan ng bawat kwento, may inumpisa ang bago. Get into the light life. Sunday light.
Welcome back. Ginebra and Manalco's showdown for the PBA Governor's Cup title was put on hold because of a fire earlier today at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. The fire was put out at 1:08 p.m., a little under 5 hours before the supposed 6 p.m. match. But the PBA rescheduled the game for the safety of fans, players, and staff. The Araneta group says the fire caused no injuries. The 3x3 second conference grand final set earlier today also suspended. Game 6 of the Governor's Cup Finals will now take place on Friday at 6 in the evening at the MOA Arena. Tickets to tonight's game are refundable at the Big Dome. The Gin Kings are shooting for one more win to retain the championship. And for pageant fans, the new crown for next Miss Universe Philippines is here. Take a look at the La Mer and Majesty crown adorned with pearls to pay homage to the sea. It was made in partnership with the crown was made in partnership with international brand jeweler. Only 10 days are left until someone gets to wear this with the coronation set for April 30th at the Mall of Asia Arena. And that is it for tonight. Join me on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm the Authorized News Night for Bobab and the Headlines.
Mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas. RPN sa iba't ibang mga lalawigan. DZRL DZBS Baguio, DZKI Iliga, DYKB Bacolod, DYKC Cebu, DXKS Surigao, DXKD Dipolo, DXKO Cagayan de Oro, DXKT Davao, DXKP Pagadian, DXXX Zamboanga, DXDX General Santos. RPN Radio Philippines Network, DXTV Dipolo Radio Ronda Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Do you find yourself holding on to things because of memories associated with them? Things we own remind us of special moments or people, but eventually stuff piles up, leaving us with a cluttered environment that can cause stress as well as frustration. In this episode, we'll teach you how to declutter your way to a happier, healthier life. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and we bring you the knowledge and care you need, especially in this time of COVID-19. You're watching Mental Health Talk only on CNN Philippines. Clutter can make it difficult to get things done and find what you need. Imagine looking for your car keys when you're already late for work. This makes us very frantic, anxious, and stressed, possibly setting a negative tone for the rest of the day. Now our guest today will talk about this topic, plus much more. Let's welcome to the show Alonia Mercado, who is a clinical psychologist from AMAX Psychological Services and research expert for the Department of Health. Also with us is Isa Reyes. She's a professional organizer and managing director of Neat Obsessions. Now, your home, everyone's home, should be your sanctuary. It should be a place for you to unwind as well as relax. But when it's full of clutter, full of stuff, it may become the opposite. Cluttered environments can affect your overall well-being. I'd like to start off the conversation with Ms. Day. Aside from less stress, less anxiety, ano yung mga benefits of a home that has less clutter?
Whenever there is clutter, it somehow makes you feel stagnant kasi. But when you let go of the things that you don't need anymore and start piling up and organizing things that you need, it makes you feel better because once you see things in order, it optimizes your environment. Thus, your mood and your mind. Mas nagiging kalmado yung ating pakiramdam and the state of mind whenever we have a good environment.
Having a cleaner space boosts the mind, enhances focus, mas maganda yung productivity, so mas maganda siguro, mas maganda, mas creative ang tao kapag decluttered. But Miss Day, ano na yung problema? Bakit mas madalas hindi nagiging organized ang tao kung all of these benefits are there?
Well, actually, it's a natural thing to happen for human beings to have clutter in their environment. Kasi psychologically speaking, we are very sentimental in nature. Most especially as Filipinos, we wanted to collect things, we wanted to make sensible of the things we encountered in the past. Ganun naka-structure yung brain natin kasi bigger part of our brain is responsible for our emotions na nakabind sa mga objects that we have in our environment. Kaya it's really natural for everyone to have their own clutter in their environment.
In this time of COVID-19, we want to make sure that we're at our healthiest. All of us want to be healthy, of course. Not only should we exercise, fuel our body, we should also make sure that our space, that space that we are in, is neat and tidy. Now, Ms. Day, pag-usapan naman natin, aside from the psychological health, physical health. Meron bang physical health advantage ang isang lugar na less cluttered?
Actually, a lot of researchers have already proven that. Isa sa mga benepisyo ng pag-declutter physically or in terms of health is for us to rid off some allergens, so yung mga things that shouldn't be in our environment. So kapag mas mababa yung allergens natin, mas mababa yung stress level natin. And whenever we declutter, nakakatulong din yan sa pagpapababa ng stress level or cortisol level natin sa katawan. A lot of researchers showed that people tend to experience increase in stress hormones whenever they deal with their disorganized belongings. And when you often experience stress in a daily basis, it becomes chronic and it becomes different in terms of the structure of the brain. Kung nag-iiba ang structure of the brain whenever you are exposed to chronic stress. Kaya it makes you more stressed. So parang ang logic is these clutters can make you stressed. It can change the structure of the brain, and once it changed already, it makes you more stressed on a daily basis.
When you have too many things lying around, someone might feel like that they're not in control in their life. May loss of control for that matter. Kasi sa pag-usapan naman natin yun, can having clutter constantly, could this lead to a lack of self-esteem ng isang tao?
I always say that if there's one thing in your life that you can fully control, those are the things that you own. Because they don't have any reaction, they cannot complain, because those are just things. But most often than not, like if clutter pile up, diba? Parang what happens is our things controls us. Parang ganun yung nangyari. We don't want to go inside a particular room because I'm just going to be stressed out. Most often than not, it's our storage rooms that we don't want to go in. Diba? Parang I don't want to go in that. I will just feel mag-hyperventilate lang ako sa loob niyan, right? And because instead of us being in control over that particular room or yung kalat natin, sila yung nagko-control sa atin pabalik.
On that note of being an expert in organization, may mga telltale signs, may mga red flags ng isang tao that may point to na they need to declutter.
What happens is that parang yung mga tao sa paligid niya, yun kadalasan yung tumatawag sa akin. Can you help my mom? Or can you help, parang my husband because may cohort siya. And as a professional, I understand that being a hoarder or if you are a collector, it's an accumulation of, parang it's kind of a habit and nagbi-build up. So it's kind of hard na parang dadating ako doon and then it's just going to be like one event you have to let go of your stuff. So that's why I need to come up with logical reasons why they need to declutter slowly. And one of that logical reasons was mentioned earlier, which is to protect your health and hygiene.
Now when we return, we'll talk about how a cluttered household can be a sign of a hoarding disorder. We're in connection to healthcare. You're watching Health Talk. Do you have trouble throwing things away? Are you becoming a hoarder? This is Health Talk. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and we're together in health. Physical clutter can become an obsession. We may sometimes find ourselves surrounded with stuff we can't get rid of because they have some form of sentimental value or possibly can become potentially useful in the future. Not everyone who has clutter at home has a hoarding disorder. I want everyone to understand that. But let's try and find out some of the red flags for this. Miss Day, pag-usapan natin yon. A lot of people may be able to relate to this. Tinatago yung kahon ng binili nilang appliance, probably feeling nila magagamit nila yung kahon later on or, things like that. But when is it now a problem of hoarding?
The first is that we're going to consider is the impairment or dysfunction. Is the person already incapacitated to perform his or her duties at home because of excessive clutters in the environment? Since all of the things that a hoarder is really treasured, they often feel awful to let go of things regardless of its value. Kahit minsan wala na silbi yung object, they still find satisfaction in keeping it. And I have heard a lot of members of the family of a person who is hoarding usually reads of things of a hoarder in their own absence at home. And it creates attention doon sa hoarder because all of a sudden, pag uwi nila, wala na yung mga gamit nila. And masasabi natin that it would create even more serious concerns on their mental health kasi I have seen a lot of people who commit suicide or ended their lives because of simply reading of their objects or important things at home.
Now my question for Isa is, why do you think people hoard?
One is probably they're filling up a void, and it's also a process because it's difficult that we're going to do it at one go without them realizing and accepting in themselves that they need to let go, they need to declutter.
Some people with a hoarding disorder may also experience possibly other mental health disorders. Is this possible, Ms. Day? Could you give some examples?
It's highly related to other disorders such as depression, anxiety, and ADHD, and even trauma. Based on my experience, when we're talking about a common cold, which is depression, most of them do not like to work or to stand up from their own bed. And their energy is very much limited to just survival activities such as eating and sleeping. Doon na lang umiikot yung buhay nila. and most of the time they find it very challenging to declutter. That's why when you see a person experiencing depression, anxiety, and ADHD, you can see their environment feeling messy.
Hoarding, studies have suggested, can be seen in those as early as 11 to 15 years old, and it can get worse with age. Now, hoarding is also common in older adults as well. Miss Isa, ano yung mga risk factors that one may develop itong hoarding na ito?
I think what happens is dun sa mga nagho-hoard ng gamit, no, parang it's kind of parang they're having a hard time getting off that habit of buying and collecting. And collector kasi make sure that they take care of their things. Kumbaga parang when they buy something, they know where to put it, they know where to probably hang it or keep it, store it. That's a collector. While a hoarder, on the other hand, parang when they buy or when they get things, they don't think of saan ko ba to ilalagay. It's really just the action of, acquiring and getting that item without realizing that it will again affect them, physically, mentally, emotionally.
What are the sort of steps in order to address the hoarding disorder, possible treatment, management scenarios for this?
Yes, whenever, kagaya na sinabi ni Ms. Isa, it's very difficult to make a person who is suffering from hoarding disorder to really understand the underlying reason of doing so. But we can start with simple psychoeducation or making the person aware of the nature of what he or she is experiencing. The family dynamics is really very important in managing and mitigating this kind of issue because ang sabi nga, ang sakit ng kalingkingan ay sakit ng buong katawan. Kaya it's very important that there is dynamism, there is a process that has to be done within the family because by the end of the day, this is not an issue of the person who is hoarding only, but I guess all members of the family that they have to fill in a certain emotional support to that person who is suffering.
Is it common for just one person, the person who is hoarding, to be the focus of attention here, or is it possible na merong mga enablers ito sa buhay?
I would say that there's a certain hormone that is being produced when you are hoarding that is very much similar to addiction. And it's so much difficult to deal with urges and cravings whenever we talk about hoarding behavior and how they are getting motivation from doing so. Kaya napaka-importante that each of the members of the family would understand the triggers of this person moving towards their collecting or hoarding behaviors, which are not on the normal borders. So, mahalaga na maintindihan ng tao kung ano ba yung mga sitwasyon, objects, people na mas nakakapag-push sa kanila na mag-hoard. So, it's more on like understanding themselves better so that they can do better decisions in the future.
When we return, we'll help you ditch the things that are making your house unorganized. Your health is our mission. This is MedTalk Health Talk. We'll be right back. Decluttering doesn't have to be stressful. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, where your care comes first. Now, sometimes we may spend hours, days, or even weeks making to-do lists and buying organizational items to help manage our clutter. But what if that doesn't help? Identifying the cause of clutter is definitely a great first step. Ms. Isa, I'll start with you. What are some of the common things that can help someone start their decluttering journey?
Okay, number one that you need to do is set an intention first. What is the intention in this particular space? What do I want to feel in this particular space? Like, for example, when you're in your bedroom, what do you want to feel here? Do you want to feel at peace? Is it going to be your sanctuary, your resting place, right? You have to make sure that you know the intention in that space. Because with that intention, that's where you will start. Now, on the technical part, then you, as mentioned earlier, you only have to remember three things. You can actually be organized without throwing first, because I understand that decluttering is already an overwhelming task. You know, so if an overwhelming feeling plus an overwhelming task, it's not actually a good mix. But one way for you to assist yourself is that you do sorting first, build a category, sort it, put like items together, and once that you have that visual inventory, now that's where you move on to decluttering, which will make it a little bit easier.
What's your advice for the viewers on how to let go? Because I think that's an important thing, how to be able to let go. Because especially for a hoarder, that is one of the things that is very difficult for them to do. So what kind of tips, what kind of advice can you give?
So it's more on awareness and being mindful of the things that have to be prioritized as of the moment. Like for example, tatabi mo pa yung mga gamit na ginagamit mo pa nung high school. Kasi no matter how important these things to you are, no, hindi naman na siya nagagamit on the present time. You have to let go of it. Same as our psychological packages, no, we have to be aware of the benefits of decluttering emotionally and psychologically. And it's also part of the process. I do understand it. It's not a one-time processing that the next day you wake up, you can already let go of the things that you have been collecting or been saving for the longest time. No, always remember that what comes in must come out.
Are there tried and true ways in order for our viewers to start their decluttering journey? There's one method called the KonMari method. Could you say something about this?
Yeah, I'm actually a KonMari consultant in training. I discuss my personal method, which I call the homework technique. That is the process of you moving home to your home. And it's the three-step process. It's sorting, detaching, and rehoming. And I would always say in sorting, you know what you have, because that's when you put like items together. In detaching, you understand what you need, and that is the process of, you know, looking at things objectively. And in rehoming, you accept what is left. So you just have to remember three important steps. And I think it's very more applicable for Pinoys, especially we're highly sentimental, because there's always a story to tell. Like, bigay ng lolo ko, bigay ng kapitbahay ko, nakuha ko nung unang sweldo ko. So that's why I created that technique. And you can watch my videos, I explain there how to do it, but it's easy to remember, it's easy to follow, and you don't have to be hard on yourself at the get-go where you have to let go right away, but actually, you know, understanding the commitment in taking care of your things.
This discussion was definitely very, very helpful. Thank you very much, clinical psychologist Salodia Mercado, and professional organizer Ms. Lisa Reyes, for sharing your expertise, sharing your advice. I'm sure a lot of our viewers were enlightened by this episode. As we start to control the clutter, we take better care of ourselves. Instead of spending time rummaging through your things, you can spend that time more productive elsewhere, your loved one. If it's something that you can't control, don't be afraid to ask and seek professional help. Stay safe, everyone. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this has been the Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.